We expect a long, long night as the counting continues across the country, particularly in the swing state of Arizona, where most ballots are cast by mail. In Maricopa County, which is the most populous county in Arizona, there are so many races on the ballot in this particular election that the ballot is 2 pages long, which means it'll take just that much longer to tabulate the vote while the whole country watches and waits. Also in Maricopa County this year is a 6-foot-tall barbed wire fence around the tabulation center in Phoenix. Local officials physically fortifying the election center with panic buttons and drones and rooftop snipers, truly preparing for the worst. Joining us now from Phoenix is NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz, who's inside the fortress, inside the Maricopa County Tabulation and Election Center. Behind her, election officials are doing what is called adjudication of the ballots, which means they're checking for any potential problems before the ballots are processed for tabulation. Liz, it's great to have you with us. Tell us what you've been seeing and what's going on there.
Hey, Rachel, yeah, we made it inside. We did. It took a lot of layers of security, and I'm sure you remember this view very well from 2020. We are looking inside the ballot processing center right now, and what's happening right here is what 2 pairs of election workers, one Republican, one Democrat, they work together to go over any ballot irregularities, and they come to a consensus. And we are told that actually they become friends through this process. It's a nice snapshot of America. You can see over here right now, they're counting these ballots. Rachel, what's so interesting is anyone around the world right now can watch on a live stream what is happening in this room. In fact, since 2020, they have added even more cameras and live streams, so you can watch literally the step-by-step process of how it works, all of that in this effort for transparency here to try to counter any more claims of election fraud heading into Tuesday, knowing that it could take several days until we get results. And just to add to this idea of the fortress here, I mean, just getting in, we have video of it, 2 layers of fencing, a concrete barrier, multiple steps to call in, to get inside, to show your ID. If you come and look where we are right now, this is where we entered, and there's these magnetic security areas that you have to go through. They have the sheriff's department here going through your bags. Election officials have spent $10 million over the past 4 years to make this place what they are calling, Rachel, the safest place to be in Arizona on election night.
Liz, in terms of the officials that you're talking to, the security folks, the people who are there doing the work that needs to be done, what's the morale like? What are people's attitudes like? Obviously, it's a little bit unnerving for us looking in from the outside, looking at what they feel they've had to do for security, but they also have a job to do. It's an important job. In many cases, it's a very joyful job. You're doing your civic duty, and it's something the country needs. Where are people's heads at in terms of how they're feeling about this task ahead?
Yeah, well, we've been told that they definitely had some longtime election workers who just said, you know what, I can't do it this year. And they've decided not to do it because of a lot of the threats that they received. And there's also been some folks who have been able to get, I mean, essentially, it seems like hazard pay. They've increased some of the people's pay to make people come and feel like they want to be here and work through the election because of the fact that so many of these workers received so many threats for so long. Some of the officials have told us that over the past year, the threats have subsided, but they are expecting them to ramp up yet again come Tuesday.
NBC correspondent Liz Kreutz. Thank you so much, Liz. It's great to have you there. Thanks for talking with people there. Really helpful. My colleague Joy Reid is standing by with Arizona's top election official. Joy.
Thank you very much, Rachel. And joining us now is Democratic Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. Mr. Fontes, thank you so much for being here. Let's start on that question of security. We do know that back in 2020, after Fox called Arizona for Joe Biden, Alex Jones and others showed up at the Maricopa County Election Center. Some of the people who showed up with him were Jacob Chansley, who we later saw as part of those who sacked the Capitol. He's been sentenced for that. So there's been a lot of drama and a lot of lies surrounding vote counts in Arizona. Talk about how you are thinking about the security situation going into this election.
Well, first, Joy, thanks for having me. And, you know, security's got to be top of mind for everyone, but that doesn't mean that we lose sight of the fundamentals. We still have an election to run. But it is a little bit of a new paradigm that we're existing in. And so taking care of our workers, taking care of our employees, taking care of all the folks who are maybe just here for a week or a couple of days or a couple of months to help us out, and also making sure that our voters stay safe, all have become facets of what we've done. And so we've got to stay focused on the fundamentals. At the end of the day, we will be delivering a quality election, as Arizona always has done. Again, in spite of the lies, the conspiracies, and the misappropriation of the truth, we've done a pretty darn good job here in Arizona. So we're going to keep doing that, but we also have these other things that we have to focus on just to make sure that our people are safe.
Just this Thursday, Donald Trump said of Arizona, the only thing that can stop us is the cheating. It's the only thing that can stop us. So he's already sort of setting up his followers to believe that there's something fishy going on in your state. We recall that very comical, but also very serious pretend audit of your state's results afterwards. As Secretary of State, it is part of your, mission to try to get people to trust elections, to believe them when they happen, to believe the results are real. What is the process like of trying to walk people back from this lack of trust in elections in your state?
Well, first and foremost, we've got to understand that what we're going through over the last several years here in the United States of America is a slow-rolling civics lesson. We had some folks who raised a lot of doubts, told a lot of lies, capitalized on the sort of the take-it-for-granted attitude that Americans had towards elections. We just didn't know the process that well. And through the course of answering these questions, addressing the lies, and attacking the conspiracy theories, we have slowly but surely brought folks into understanding these processes better. And that part of it must continue. We have to continue to tell the truth, answer the legitimate questions, because some people still don't understand our process completely, and that's okay. We're happy to explain it. But when people are lying, particularly elected officials and candidates, when those folks lie about a process, knowing better, because all of them do know better, that's the biggest problem we have.
And the lies around voting in the U.S. On the Republican side tend to revolve around this lie that non-citizens are voting. And Arizona is a state that obviously has a large Latino population, American-born Latino population, but suspicion often flows to places that have large Black or Latino populations, like your state. More than 2 million people have already voted in Arizona, which is great. Lots of early voting participation. But you've also had a lawsuit in which you've lost a part of a case against Stephen Miller's outfit, America First Legal, in which they're demanding to see part of your voter rolls to force the state to prove that non-citizens are not voting. Talk a little bit about that case and where it goes from here.
Well, first and foremost, we are appealing that case because this is a public safety issue as much as anything else. We do not want a bunch of extremists out there pounding on people's doors and demanding that they turn over identification just because, somebody in another part of the country thinks that non-citizens are voting in Arizona, which, by the way, is very, very rare. In fact, it is vanishingly rare that those sorts of things happen. First, that a non-citizen might register, and even more rare that a vote gets cast. So I'm going to acknowledge it's not a perfect system, and we should. But what we're doing right now is looking at a state in Arizona where we have a bifurcated system that's very different than the rest of the United States of America. In every other state in the union, a signature on an affidavit under penalty of perjury is enough to get you to vote. That's the proof of citizenship that every American gives us. In Arizona, however, in order to vote for all of the races outside of the federal ballot, governor all the way down through judges, et cetera, you've got to show documented proof of citizenship. But we didn't start doing that until 2004. The systems have never fully been supported by the legislature or any of the administrators. It is a very complicated way that we do things, issuing Fed-only ballots and then full ballots. And it's just really a problem where we don't see that problem anywhere else in the United States of America. So we've got to get it together on that aspect. But as far as the rest of it goes, we're in great shape. And again, I must repeat, the issue of non-citizen voting is in existence, but it is vanishingly rare, and no one has ever seen any more than a onesie or twosie, and none of it has ever had an impact on the outcome. So that's another one of the lies we've got to get past.
One last question, and of course, one of the other aspects or one of the other factors in people's claims of not trusting elections is the time that it can take to actually just physically count the votes, which we know it has to be done. It's human beings doing it. It takes time. And we know, I'm looking at an estimate here that says 10 to 14 days potentially for Arizona to get that result in. Can you confirm that that's the timeline we're looking at, or how long should we expect to wait to know who's definitively won Arizona?
Yeah, Joel, you hit it on the head. 10 to 13 days, that's how it's always been. As a matter of fact, if you look back, Arizona's always been about 10 to 13 days. But here's the thing. When, for example, John McCain was winning by 25 points, you guys could call the race on the night of. And so everybody thought it was over. But we were still waiting for official numbers for 10 to 13 days. Now we've got tighter margins. We've got a much more competitive politics here in Arizona. And so that 10 to 13 days can be awfully sort of grinding on folks when they want to know the results right now. But that doesn't mean that we won't get projections much sooner. That's up to y'all in the media. That's not our job. Our job is to get official results out that are accurate, and that's what we're going to do. And it's going to take about 10 to 13 days.
I will note for our audience that President Biden, Joe Biden, won Arizona by just over 10,000 votes in 2020, and NBC projected Arizona for Biden 9 days after the election on November 12th. So that's what you should be in for, everybody. Calm yourselves and be ready for that. Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, thank you so much. Rachel.
I will say, Arizona is lucky to have a person in that job who is as clear a communicator as he is, given the national implications of clear election-related communication coming out of Arizona.
Absolutely.
Adrian Fontes, somebody to watch, I think, in terms of his future career.